Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm talking about the square aspect between Venus and Neptune in Synastry. So this one can get a bit tricky. Um, it can definitely be a red flag in Synastry if you have this aspect. It's just good to be aware that the way that you're seeing this person, the way that you're seeing this relationship may not be what is actually there to be seen. You can be having rose colored glasses in this relationship, and you likely are. And a lot will be determined by the rest of the relationship chart comparison, like if there are other aspects showing more compatibility beyond just this, because this aspect can make you feel like you have found your perfect match when maybe they are not. So you want to take a look at the whole synastry and see if there's actual compatibility shown by other indicators. Because yeah, this one could make you feel like you found the one, but really you have not. You have just found someone who feels like the one and activates the romantic dream in you. And it can still be a very beautiful connection and worthwhile connection, but it's just good to note that maybe you are seeing things that are not accurate with this particular square of Venus to Neptune. So the Venus person is more likely in this aspect to be the one that is being deceived. And it's not even that usually the Neptune person is meaning to be deceiving. That's the interesting thing with it, is that it's just in the case of the square, if somebody is going to be doing some deceiving or misleading, it tends to be the Neptune person. But it could also switch. It could also be the reversal, but usually it's going to be the Neptune person, and usually it's going to be the Venus person who is more harmed by this. Um, this could also show up in a relationship where one is being like financially deceived. So you want to be careful in a business relationship or in a romantic relationship that has finances involved, or a friendship where we're, collaborating in some sort of financial sense. Just be very aware, signing contracts or any type of legal agreement, because yeah, there could just be some lack of clarity or confusion, and it might not necessarily be coming from a malice, or a bad place. It could just be that this aspect makes you feel all kinds of loving romantic feelings, and maybe you're just not like reading the contract clearly enough, or you're just not quite fully grounded in reality, because that's what this aspect tends to do, is create kind of a fog where we have this temporary lift off from our intellect and our logic and our reasoning, and we go off into this fairy tale land of romance and good feelings. And yeah, we just want to be aware that this is potentially happening, especially the closer in orb this square is going to get. Farther away in orb, it's not going to be so intense where we're losing our consciousness, but the closer in orb, we can really be, yeah, lifting off. And this aspect could even be sort of like a drug. It could be like, you could be completely sober, and this aspect in synastry is like you've had a bottle of wine and you are feeling good about this person and this connection, and it can be sexual, but it's not even so much sexual as like just very romantic. And yeah, the Venus person can really feel like, why is my computer doing that? The Venus person can really feel like the Neptune person is the dream. Like they are it. They are the one. They are like the hottest, most beautifully gorgeous, handsome person ever. And they really want to be what the Neptune person wants. And so, unfortunately for Venus, they can sometimes lose themselves in this relationship. If they feel that the Neptune person won't like their expression of their Venus, their, way that they love, and they can actually try to change that to be what Neptune wants. But see, they're not even accurately perceiving who Neptune really is. So they don't really know that the Neptune person won't like their Venus, but they just sometimes assume, because of this lack of clarity and lack of seeing the Neptune and the way that this square actually creates a bit of an awkwardness with their Venus, they can subtly change themselves in order to try to be what they think Neptune wants. And so you could actually see the Venus person losing themselves in this connection, or acting very out of character. Like you could have a very Saturnian, serious Capricorn individual, and then they've got this aspect in Synastry and their Venus, and they just completely subvert their will to Venus or to Neptune, and just totally change personality, and like go from being very stingy to very generous or something. And it's like this aspect creates all kinds of funny stuff like that. Or you could see an Aries Venus, who's usually very selfish, becoming very unselfish in the presence of Neptune. So it's very interesting to watch. And it's not all bad if you do, like I said, you have a really good synastry otherwise. This aspect just is going to add that feeling of like, this is a fantasy, this is a dream, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen and been in a relationship. And it's just going to really heighten those emotions of the romantic dream, which can be good because, the relationships that are truly memorable and have that feeling of soulmates have some kind of thing like this going on, usually, right? So, yeah, what else about this connection? The Neptune person, if they are more self serving in their natal potentials, can see the Venus as something to be owned and something like that is a thing of beauty that they want to possess and have for themselves. And they can lie, they can manipulate, they can be evasive, and just kind of do whatever it takes to have this Venus person, even if they know that it's wrong or they know that they're unavailable. They can still, for whatever reason, because this aspect is so attractive, do what they can to seduce Venus, right? And that is like in a worst case scenario, we've got someone who's a very manipulative personality or selfish personality. Usually the seducing is not so calculated as that. But there does tend to be this subtle seducing of Venus, where the Neptune person gets it in their eyes and their heart, like, this could be someone who does everything for me. And like that is probably accurate, that they can sense that the Venus person is very vulnerable to them. So if the Neptune person is a good person and, not coming from a very selfish place, they can actually want to like look out for Venus and feel like, oh, I sense this vulnerability in Venus and I want to take care of them and make sure they're okay. I'm not going to, use them for my own gain or anything. Like I just like want to make sure they're good. But it can really go either way. So that's some of what this aspect could be. There's also a lot of creative potential with this aspect, probably even more so than the other aspects, or the positive aspects, the so-called positive aspects, because the square creates such a tension and kind of a discontent that there is a ton of creativity that can be born from this. So um, it definitely heightens that poetic nature in both individuals. And so they could really create something together that is dreamy, that is musical, that is artistic. There's, yeah, a lot of potential for that. And there is a lot of potential for giving and like being generous with each other. Especially if the Neptune person is coming from a good place, they can really want to give to Venus, and Venus can really want to give to Neptune because they can't really help it. They just find themselves giving to Neptune without really knowing why. So that's really interesting. Yeah, it's definitely an intense aspect. It probably creates, other than the conjunction or the opposition, it creates the most fogginess and potential for confusion and hurt in the Venus person. And the Neptune person can be hurt too because yeah, it's not always going to be that the Venus person is the one being hurt. The Neptune person can definitely be hurt by Venus's actions too, because Venus in this sense might be kind of more like the flirt. Um, this aspect too can really show up in affairs. Or like if you are in a healthy relationship and then someone comes along and you want to cheat on them, for whatever reason, even if you're not naturally like a cheater, you could be having some sort of Venus Neptune aspect going on. Specifically, the square is going to show up in relationships where there's some sort of weird thing going on. And, yeah, it could be an affair. The Venus person, could meet Neptune and then want to leave their relationship to be with them. Or yeah, it could definitely be like maybe they're both having affairs, or yeah, there's just could be some kind of thing going on here that's unusual and confusing and potentially very destabilizing for both people. So that's just something to be aware of. If you have this aspect in Synastry, something may not be what it seems. Someone could be lying, someone could be unavailable. Um, yeah, there's commonly weird stuff going on with this aspect. It could show up as cheating, infidelities. This is the kind of aspect you're going to see with that. Um, and yeah, there's just this very confusing energy that it can end up that someone or both people are very hurt by this relationship, and it can take a long time to heal from this because the romantic highs are so high that the devastating lows feel so low. So this can be an aspect of heartbreak for sure, but there's a lot of growth that can be coming from this, because with the square, you're kind of forced to face that uncomfortable tension of Venus Neptune, which is longing and heartbreak and romanticism and loving unconditionally and all of these things. And so you can really grow as a person. And yeah, it more than the sextile or trine or even the conjunction, we can have hurt feelings coming out of this aspect. So handle with care. This should have a warning label on it. So yeah, I'd love to know your experience of this aspect. Was it like this? Was it not like this? Let me know in the comments. And thanks for your requests, you guys. Keep them coming. We'll talk soon. Bye.